Yeah, baby.
Howdy, 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 and welcome to the Snort Cast. I am the creator and the snorter. My name is Nguyen. You join me every Monday and Thursday to talk to funny people all around the world, how they got into comedy and why they do comedy. And the big question I ask them is, how do they apply their comedy to their work? And it's been such a fabulous time getting to know everyone during this lockdown pandemic here in Melbourne. And as I always begin, we're not just from Melbourne watching the show, we are watching the show all around the world. Please tell us if you're watching the show live or on replay and which city that you are snorting from. It's really important for me to know where all the SnortCast lovers are, and I'm so honoured that we always get regulars coming on and sharing the joy of comedy, because if you didn't know, in March was when COVID-19 hit. The first thing that got smashed was the Melbourne Comedy Festival. And most of the comedians that have been on the show lost their work for the whole year. And it's something that I've been really interested in diving into, is talking about process of comedy, because people think we just stand on stage and tell stories. But no, we prepare our work, we market our work, and it becomes our portfolio these 4 weeks. So please tell us where you're snorting from, live or replay. And also, I pay it forward every month. And this month is the 1st of October. And I'm really excited to promote this month, Climate for Change. We are raising $190,000 over the next 5 weeks. And if you would like to donate, the link is there. We've already raised over nearly $60,000, and I was there part of the launch. So I'm so proud of the organisation and the work they do. It's all about one-to-one conversations and just being aware and just talking about what the hell is climate for change and what we can do to help each other and also help Mother Earth. Okay, and look, if you've got enough money in your pockets, you can support my Patreon. Thank you so much for my Patreon community for saying yes to snorting, saying yes to comedy. The link is there for my Patreon. And you can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, where we're streaming live on Facebook now, and on LinkedIn. Just put in the hashtag #TheSnortCast or @TheSnortCast, and you'll see all the interviews that we've had over the past 2 months, which is really crazy that I only started this 2 months ago. But remember, tell us where you're watching this show from, because the guests I am bringing on, I'm so excited. And that's one thing I forgot to ask her. How do I pronounce her name? Because I know it's Italian. Damn it. So we'll play. Nguyen's always gets stuffed up. So is her name. It's karma. We'll just play it by ear. But my guest, I call her high-ended comedian, like a Louis Vuitton bag. But she is so well known in Australia. She's headlined, she's performed at the comedy, the big gala, and someone's quoted her as being the chameleon, a stand-up comedian, writer, and actor who springs between stage and screen. And sometimes I feel like I'm that too. Too many tools in my bag. But the difference between Celia is that she's won awards. That's the difference. So she first started comedy in 2008 as a raw comedy contestant, which is how majority of comedians try out their work. And then she's won awards for Best Supporting Actress in The Beautiful Lie, and co-created and co-wrote and starred in a smash hit comedy, Rosehaven, with Luke McGregor, who's going to be on here next week, back-to-back. They're like back-to-back. But Celia's important. She's the first one. And winning, she didn't put her resume, she's also the winner of Dancing with the Stars, the Australian version of 2020. And luckily they got that done because that would have been awkward with COVID-19. And before I bring her on, I want to show you her work so you can see what she does for a living. Here we go.
And one of my flatmates was in the kitchen making breakfast, and I went, morning, and she went, mate. I'm like, yeah? And she goes, I got to tell you, I heard you having sex last night. And I was like, well, great. This is embarrassing because I was not having sex last night. Not even a little bit. She goes, yeah, I figured it out. What had happened was she has a tiny dog, right? A Chihuahua cross papillon. Its head is smaller than my fist, okay? It sleeps in her room with her. Somehow it got stuck outside her bedroom door. So it was crying and scratching at her bedroom door. And she heard that sound of a tiny dog crying and scratching and went, that'll be Celia fucking. I don't know what to do with this information. This is just my life. The closest I came to having my own home was actually when I was about 8 years old. Oh, yeah. When my dad built me a cubby house in the backyard. Super cool, yeah. But cooler than that, my dad is a builder. So it was a real house, but tiny, okay? It was a real tiny little house in the backyard, right? Had a working light, had tiles on the roof, stairs going up to it, carpet on the floor, amazing. And whenever I tell people about that, they're like, wow. That is so incredible that your dad would go to so much trouble to build you a real tiny little house in the backyard. What a great guy. And I'm like, nah, that's a guy who figured out how to make his 8-year-old move out.
And please welcome Celia Pacquola.
Hi. This is a very lockdown. I was just messaging my flatmate downstairs going, the internet's being a bit weird, but I'm doing a thing, so just it's fine, but don't download any porn. That's a joke, but just don't download. Don't download porn. Because I am, see that joke's that's a couple of years old now because I'm actually now 37 and still living in a share house, which is another joke. I don't know if it's from that show, but a joke of mine where I go, 37 is too old to be living in a share house because 37 is too old to be sitting at home at night and you hear the keys in the door and you sit there and you go, please don't be the one I hate, which doesn't work as a joke now because no one goes out because we're trapped. Anyway,
Yes.
Hi,
welcome. But I totally understand. I'm 35 and in a share home with 4 people. So,
Are you in Melbourne? Are you in a lockdown with 5 people?
well, 4. Well, actually, 4. I'm the 4th one.
How is that?
Oh, we get along so well. My housemates own bars, so we've been drinking.
Yeah, but you can't go to the bars. But have you got enough space? Like you're in there. Like have you got enough? Sort of? Are you in your room all the time?
Oh no, it's a very big townhouse.
All right.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, all right. Okay, cool. Well, they just go out to the pool house, and then I retire to the conservatory. Okay, fair enough. I get it. But it's so full on. I'm also in Melbourne, as I mentioned, and I can honestly say I've never felt more at home. And I love that joke. What I hate about that joke is that I wrote that in fucking March. And it still works.
And your housemates downloading porn. So,
I know. Well, what's funny is last time I did something like this was amazing. Reese Nicholson, any comedy fans, Reese Nicholson and Kyron Wheatley are running Comedy Republic. They were just about to open a brand new comedy venue in Melbourne during Comedy Festival when all this happened. And they have amazingly pivoted to 2 shows, the Lockdown in Melbourne Tonight, which is like a stand-up variety Zoom show, and then a comics watching videos and show. Anyway, the last time I did this here, because this is my spot, and I was talking to them, Kelly, my flatmate, was in the bath there and could hear, so I could have a conversation. I was like, yeah, I know what it's like. You're right, Cal? And she'd go, yeah. Like, see, she's good to hear that. Oh, she's bringing me some wine. See?
Oh,
Well, she better
porno
be.
and wine. Amazing.
Excuse me. Yes,
You might have met Kelly Stuka, another Melbourne comedian in her
I'll check her
pajamas. You probably haven't seen her this way.
Check her out.
Hi.
Hi.
LinkedIn.
Oh, hello.
Yes, we're the
So-
SnortCast on LinkedIn. We're live right now. So
Oh,
you're live
great.
in pajamas.
I'm never in pajamas this early because normally there's comedy on, but
This is what happened. Don't you miss nights, Diane? I miss like this is late for me. This is now.
Yeah, you did say that you're a granny now, but now you're drinking, granny. So
Well, I had to save it because I knew I was doing this. Normally, it is very rare for the last 2 months to have caught me with a bra on after 5 o'clock. So you're welcome, LinkedIn. I feel see, that's what I want to ask you because this is for LinkedIn, which I know nothing about because I've never had a real job, and I feel like that's where the people with real jobs go, isn't it?
well, I did find you on LinkedIn.
Am I?
Yes.
News to me. Okay.
But there's no photo. There's just like a performing arts. I think you may have done it 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like me. So what do you use it for? Like, what is it actually?
I use it just like Facebook and Instagram.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
But because our audience is watching us now, can you tell us who are you other than what I've just said in the bio?
Who am I? See, it's too deep. It's all too deep into lockdown. Who am I? Right. Is this a business? Because I'm not sure the tone of.
No. Go rogue. This is a rogue show.
Is this the jokes or is this a business? Because the fact that it's LinkedIn, I'm like, right, people want business advice? No. Okay.
No.
Who am I? I am I'm 37, as I say. I am an Italian-Australian woman. I am a professional comedian. I've been a professional stand-up comedian for almost 20 years. Whoo, boy.
Wow.
And then I've done, well, maybe 15, something like that. I'm not good at math. 2008, when was that? 2008, 18, 12, 15, can't remember. That's why I'm in the arts. Anyway, so comedy is my main thing. This is what's weird to me is because I've done a number of things off that because you have to make a living in comedy, as you would know. You need to be versatile and expand and be able to do other things. So I've done a number of things other than that. So a lot of people are surprised when they find out that I'm a comedian because they go, oh, do you do comedy? And I go, yeah, that's my main thing. You should be surprised that I do acting or radio or writing or dancing with the stars. But comedy is the one through line. But that's really who I am. Before that, I was a waitress. I spent quite a bit of time in the UK. That was the goal for a while to live there and work there. But yeah, living in Melbourne, 4 seasons of Rosehaven, that's taken up the last sort of 5 years, has been me and Luke McGregor. And I'm glad you've got him on next week and not when I'm on because we do have it in our contracts now that we cannot be on the same program together because I cannot stand that utter arse. No, he's very much best friend. So that's who I am.
Oh, beautiful. And can I ask, you've got this toolkit. Which one's the first love? When did it all happen? Like performing arts for you?
Okay. So I didn't know stand-up was a job at all. I didn't even know that was a thing ever growing up. I thought acting when I was a kid, acting and writing stories. And then I went to uni and met a bunch of performing arts nerds, which was best, including Kelly. That's where we met. She's my best friend since uni.
Okay.
I love the DJ and I love the Late Show, but I still didn't know stand-up was a thing. I liked sketch. Like I thought I'd maybe write plays or do that kind of stuff. I don't know. So I auditioned for the law review at Melbourne Uni because that's what all the DJing did and I wanted to do that. And I got in, which was amazing because I didn't study law or go to Melbourne. And I did that. And then at uni, we started a theatre company. And then I got into comedy because I started dating a comedian, basically. Is the unfortunate story. It gets worse. It doesn't make me look good. I was on a date with someone else who was an accountant and we went to watch comedy, which I'd never been to before in my life, and was like, what is this? And there was a guy on stage and I ended up going out with him and he signed me up for Raw. So he's the reason I did Raw comedy. And then I got to the national final, won best first time entrant. The winner that year was Hannah Gadsby. Where's she now? Nowhere. And Tom Ballard was in that year as well. Like you were talking about, like Raw really, it's great. Anyone who's thinking about starting comedy, I always recommend Raw because it gives you a real gig and a real audience very early on. Because usually when you're starting out, you might play to 2 people who aren't listening. I'm like, that's not what a real gig is. But if you do Raw, you're guaranteed a real audience who are really warm and accepting that you're new, and a real MC and real lights and the real thing. So I highly, highly recommend it. And also it gives you a class, like not a class, like a group of people that you graduated with. So you remember the people that you started with, and you go, because as you know, you go through comedy and you go through these experiences with people and you bond with them. So that was where I met Hannah, and I'll never forget it. I met her at the town hall on the day of the grand final. Wow. And and then we did Comedy Zone together the next year. And then you just, this kind of stuff happens. But wow. I forget what the question was, but that's how I started. And then so that just happened, and I was still a waitress. I still didn't know what I was doing. I still sort of thought I'd write plays and stuff. And then things just happen. You say yes to every gig. A bunch of comics and I started a sketch show, the Anarchist Guild Social Committee. So I was doing that once a month. My first real paid comedy work was writing jokes for Good News Week, which was amazing. I was put forward by the amazing Claire Hooper as a trial. Like they were doing this amazing just a program where for women, I think, to give them a 2-week trial, to just give them 2 weeks of experience. And I did that. And at the end of that, they offered me a job. So that was my first. So, just bits and pieces for about 5 years of bits and pieces till it got to the point where I got to quit my waitressing job. Yeah. And but I like everything. I like doing a lot of different things. I think the one through line of all of them is being able to create something and comedy. Yes. So in whatever it is, if it's articles or radio or whatever, I like being able to make something, and I like that it's comedy. But other than that, anything's up for grabs.
Amazing. Well, going back to when you talked about raw comedy, my first show when I got into comedy was 4 years ago, and I did a full 50 minutes.
What, as your first gig? Are you mad? Why did you call me? Who did you talk to? Had you been to gigs? Are you serious?
Yes.
During Comedy Festival?
Yeah.
I mean,
Edinburgh. I took it around Australia. It got 4.95 stars. It was my first. I take it all back because you smashed it. Don't worry about it. But usually that's bananas. That's why you haven't heard of me, because I'm an underdog. This is my 4th year, and you've been doing it for 15 years. I'm like, there's so much I need to learn. So
the weird thing is once you get, and because there's no gigs right now, I'm sure I would have bumped into you, but when you just not so much at the small cool room, you're not there as much. So you don't get to find it. And then I feel real old. I get there and I go, everyone's like, who's this fucking bitch? And I'm like, I used to be you. So that's the other great thing with stand-up is from a very early point in your career, you are in the same room as people who are 10 years further along than you, because every show has a headliner. Like it's amazing. That's how I like Judith. You were saying you did a thing with Judith Lucy tonight. I remember meeting her on my 10th gig ever because she was the headliner. And if you were an actor trying to get a movie, you wouldn't be in the same green room as George Clooney forever. But in comedy you are, because the budget's so shit. You're all stuck, even if it's like, oh, that's Rove, you're still stuck on the same milk crate out the back of a pub. But it's interesting if you just do it a different way, it's fine. Like I remember there's Em Rusciano as well, who I'd never, she didn't really come up through the stand-up rooms, but it's got thousands of this huge following because from podcasts and from a different way, and that's totally fine. It's just however you find your audience best. If it works for you, then sure.
That's it. Well, let's talk to the audience. Well, our audience is from around. Let's see. We've got India, region of Victoria. We've got Greenville, USA. Thanks for joining. We've got Tonga,
What?
Netherlands. Thanks for joining, guys. Somewhere in the Middle East, Bahrain. Thanks for joining. Bahrain, thank you. Another Netherlands, thank you. Sydney. We've got Melbourne. Tima, thanks for joining. Yeah, we've got like a real strong snort comedy loving people on LinkedIn.
What do they want to know? I want to give them what they would like. I have many.
Well, I have questions for you.
Okay,
and then we'll ask the Q&A. And if you are watching on Facebook, we've got a couple of people watching on Facebook as well. Please feel free to ask any questions, and we'll ask Celia at the end what she thinks. So, one of my questions was, we talked about, the comedy being your life, from Melbourne Uni and that ex-boyfriend. But when did the comedy as a child come into your life? Like, do you remember a moment where you had a big laugh and you knew, oh, this is something I could do?
Absolutely not. I was not the funny kid. I was absolutely not the funny kid at all. I grew up in the country. It's not a good time. It was not a good time. High school wasn't a good time. I was a sensitive kid, which I think what really has helped my creativity was I was so bored. And people underestimate boredom for creativity because there was nothing to do. We're out in the bush. There was no neighbours. So you had to come up with stories and that kind of stuff. Absolutely wasn't the funny kid, awkward at school, awkward teenager. I would describe myself not as I got picked on, but I wasn't popular, but I also wasn't the worst. I would describe myself as a try-hard. I just tried to fit in with everyone. So I bought a lot of compilation CDs, if that makes sense. So I was like, yeah, I like grunge, but also Barbie girls, fantastic, all that. But genuinely, it was probably raw. I knew I could write, and I had a real drive to prove people wrong. So even with the law review, it was quite male dominated, and the women got sort of and I chose to tackle that by drowning them in scripts. I just wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. And I just always have believed that if your product is good enough, it doesn't matter how much you doubt it or if you can't sell it. If something is undeniably good, then they have to. So that I had that real I'll fucking show you vibe from a while. So maybe there was that. But the first joke I remember was raw comedy. And as I was describing my first experience of comedy was that real, the lights in your face, you tell a joke that had never been said on stage before, and there's that beat where you're like, oh, fuck, kind of slow motion. And I remember getting a laugh like I was getting dumped by a wave.
Bam.
And what was that? And that I remember. And then it took me, still now I doubt it, but it takes a long time to get over that was a fluke. But that was the first time where I made this group of strangers who I'm terrified of, that I would be terrified, make that kind of reaction. So that was probably the first one. Yeah.
Wow. And because you said you were writing, do you prefer to write comedy, or is it drama, or is it dramedy? Like what do you lean into?
Oh, I only write comedy. When I was at uni, I wrote a play that was really angsty and dramatic. It was about the faces we wear, the masks we wear, and who are we really? And it was a drama, and the audience laughed the whole way through. So it turns out I'm funny even when I am not trying to be. I love drama. I've acted in one drama and I loved it, and I would love to act in more drama. I love sci-fi and true crime and that kind of stuff. But when I'm writing, it generally comes out funny. It doesn't always. I'm not like everything I say is funny, but it's generally, which is hard. Like this is what Luke and I talk about with Rosehaven, and like for making comedy, television comedy, people have this weird conception that comedy is somehow easier. It's not. If drama is not with comedy, there is, if it's bad because people aren't laughing. If you watch a play that's a drama, you don't know till it's bad till people don't make eye contact with you at the end. You know what I mean?
That's bad.
Then that's bad. But I think comedy is very underrated in how hard it is. It can be. It's really hard. Although you could just also fall down, and that's also funny. But
yeah. Well, that's what we're meant to do. We're meant to fall over so many times that's how we find that joke and that that line at the end that blows up the audience. You have to test and fail, isn't it? That's part of the comedy process.
Yeah. Well, are you an improviser? Like, do you polish a lot before you put it up, or you improvise?
I do a lot of things. Yeah.
Fair. Why not? Well, you did a 50-minute show of the back. Did you just make that up? Or you've written that? You've written it?
I've done 3 shows. I was going to do my 3rd solo show, which was called Chasing Keanu Reeves. Fair. And I'm not anymore because
he seems like a great guy. He's John Wick.
The show's ended. The comedy festival ended, but I'm bringing it back.
Yeah.
Can I ask? You talked about Hannah Gatsby 2008 raw comedy.
Mm-hmm.
During that time, who inspired your comedy, and who now inspires your comedy?
So as I say, growing up, I didn't watch stand-up. Wasn't one of those diehard fans. I really didn't know. I will say, without a doubt, 100%, Rick Mayall. Anyone remember him? Who has passed away now, which makes me so sad for very selfish reasons that I didn't get to meet him. I was so close, like not close, but like I know someone now who I was getting my whole life. I was like, one of these days, because in this career as well, you find yourself, if you're lucky enough, not that far removed from your heroes. Like you worked with Judith Lucy tonight. Like it's amazing. So Rick Mayall is my earliest memory of comedy. I wish he was my dad. He used to host this show on ABC called Grim Tales, which was him sitting in a chair telling stories, and he just this love of silliness and making stupid faces, like really. So I love that. So that was him at the time, and then now it's more my peers. So it's probably people that a lot of people wouldn't know, but it's people that who are so funny. Like Geraldine Hickey's one of my closest friends, who is one of the most naturally funny people in the universe, and Anne Edmonds and Judith Lucy, who is still one of my heroes, who's the next sort of sort of generation. People that I don't know very well, Maria Bamford, who's American, who I just love her silliness and voices and character. But it's weird. Dylan Moran I also love because his wordplay, but you've got to be you're in different moods as well. Like sometimes also because comedy is my life and my work, I don't actually watch a lot of it, which is why I watch a lot of true crime stuff, because when, your day job is jokes, you're like, oh, geez, I have had enough of laughing. I got to go watch me some CSI. And Luke McGregor, Luke, I am so I have to just see what he says. But I'm very grateful. I don't know. It's just all of my friends. It's pretty much your mates, and you'd have the same thing with the people you started with because they're your friends and they make you laugh, and you see them. In the funniest is watching your friends really struggle on stage. Is probably it's really, really a beautiful thing to behold. Because
but I totally hear you about your inspiration when what's his name again? You're the comedian you just mentioned,
Dylan Moran.
Oh no, the one who passed away.
Oh, Rick Mayall. Because one of my top 3 is Robin Williams, and he right.
He passed too, and I would have loved to have been in a room with him.
I know, it's weird, isn't it, that it's part of it selfish where you're like, but I wanted to meet you. I know.
Movies.
But it's just one of those things. Like I remember being a kid when you'd watch television with your parents because there was only one TV and one remote and that kind of stuff. And at the end of the news, the newsreader would go, and in other news, actor blah, blah, blah has died. And my mum would go, oh, no. And I'd be like, who the fuck? I don't know who that is. And that's us now. Like the people, like one day, I don't know what reference you'll get, Nikki Webster will pass away and we'll go, oh yeah. That happens to Nikki Webster. But it's just weird but for us, like Robin Williams, huge, Rick Mayall, huge. Like, but it's life goes on. Hey,
life goes on.
Sorry, comedy.
Well, this is a good segue because we are in a pandemic. Your show at the Comedy Festival was cancelled. Your work's been cancelled, but it feels like you've been on the project as a panel person. You're on the show. What's that one on Channel 10? Damn it.
Have you been paying attention?
I love that show. You're great on that show. How have you been dealing with this pandemic, and how have you had to find lightness and joy?
Look, well, it's, there's so much, and I don't know how tired people are of hearing about it, and I know there's people watching from all over, so everyone's having very different experiences. Even in Australia, it's changed because in the beginning, we were all having the same experience, and then very quickly, everyone else started having a lovely time, and Melbourne had a really terrible time. So it feels, even within our country, so different. My boyfriend's in Perth and he has no clue. Like, he's been free for 6 months. They've got thousands of people. Anyway, so it's up and down. And as I find a lot of Melburnians do, you go through, being grateful. Like, I'm very lucky. It could be a whole lot worse, and I'm able to work, and I've got a roof over my head, and I'm healthy. But also, let me the fuck out. Let me out. It's been 6 months. I want to go to the pub. Let me out. So I have been very lucky that I have been paying attention in these bits and pieces. Luke and I are writing Rosehaven season 5, not because anyone's asked us, just because every other season we've been quite rushed because it takes ages. So we've just been writing it slowly, but that's been really great to have something just for a couple of hours a day, just to feel like you're doing something and remember a sort of that time. I also have been online shopping a lot, but also trying to keep the silliness alive. The day that Melbourne got told we were going back into lockdown, it was so upsetting. And I said to my flatmate, Kelly, I was like, right, what can we do to help? Because we're not medical professionals. We can't go out, we can't. What can we do? What we can do is something stupid for people. So we, 2 women in our late 30s, decided to run a series of experiments where we rode different items down our stairs. Now, is that a smart thing to do? Probably not, but it was great. Like, so that's what I've tried to do is in these times when you're really feeling it, the thing that really makes me feel better is to try and help. So that helped to try and just bring some people some silliness. I've been doing a bunch of stuff looking for small businesses in Melbourne and promoting them, which has been great. I'm going to be broke because I have to buy all of the things, but they're amazing things. My favorite thing is businesses who make one thing. Like, there's a woman who just makes lampshades. I'm like, yes. You know what I mean? There's a woman who makes buttons. I'm like, I'm in. Like, just someone who goes, hello. There's a woman who dyes wool, like yarn, under her stairs using leaves and bark and flowers. I'm like, yes, sure. Let's do that. So I've been doing that, but yeah, creatively, mainly Rosehaven stuff, a lot of podcast, a lot of Zoom, I'm here. I'll talk to you. You know, let's have a chat and try and connect, going for walks and yeah, I think that's all of the things.
No, that's great. It's lovely to hear that people are making money from selling just lampshades. So that's amazing.
Wow, they all are so amazing. There was only one that I thought was a prank when the woman messaged me saying that they offer virtual bra fittings, and I was like, no. You just want me to flash the camera. I'm not doing that. Can you imagine? What size do you reckon these are? I'm not doing that. That's mad. That's mad. I mean, there's giving and then there's porn. How about you? Have you had to be working? Are you I mean, you've been doing this has been keeping you busy.
Yeah, well, this because of LinkedIn, I've had like 4 speaking gigs this week, and I did a TED talk this year.
What?
Yeah, when you do a TED talk, you really.
Dude, I should be interviewing you. Your life is way more interesting than mine. Right.
This is normal. This is normal day. But
What's
yeah,
a TED talk on
joy. It's called Joy is My Caffeine, Joyful. Yeah, check it out.
Writing down. Joy is my caffeine. My caffeine is caffeine. So that's interesting.
So yeah, that's what I've been doing to keep myself busy, pretty much. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you. I know it's the people who are watching this show know how hard I work, so they're not surprised. It's old news.
Oh. TED Talk is not old news. TED Talk is very exciting.
It is. Oh, it was massive imposter syndrome. Like if you thought comedy was the most dreadful thing you could ever do in your life, it's a TED Talk.
Wow. Did you have a laser point? Like, did you have a
clicker? Yeah.
A clicker and picture changes and stuff? Oh my God, that's serious.
I even danced on.
Did you?
That's why. That's why I'm saying to you, Dancing with the Stars 2020.
Oh yeah.
Well, before you launch off, let's have a look at what you did. Can we have a look?
Okay. Sure.
Because you won Dancing with the
I
Stars.
thought you were going to throw it a clip. Sorry, do you want me to do it? Oh, okay. I can't remember. Oh, no, there I am.
Let's have a look. Hang on.
Australia's
Henry.
I've forgotten, but I'm uncomfortable being close up with people.
Jared.
Oh my God.
Dance for me, dance for me, dance for me. Oh.
My main fear is having to do anything sexual. There's touchings. I put your hands on my back. And I'm like, that is very confronting. And look at him real close. It's intense.
Yep. She said she couldn't be sexy.
Tens Dancing with the Stars starts Sunday, Feb 9.
Well,
Don't
they
you
couldn't get the actual clips.
Don't you just miss January? So much hope for this year. Oh gosh, how funny! Yeah, I did that. And can recommend if they ever ask me to do it. It's the only one that I've always reality show that I always wanted that I would say yes if they asked me, because you learn something, like you get to do a thing. It's not just cameras on you. I'd never do Big Brother or something where it's just cameras on you, because I'd have a meltdown. And as a comedian, you're supposed to be shit at it. So it's win-win. Yeah. Like you're shit at it, it's fine. Get all sparkly.
Well, that's what I do on LinkedIn. I dance on LinkedIn. So if you put the hashtag Dancing Diana on LinkedIn, I've danced like 500 videos on LinkedIn. And that's how I
blown my mind of what LinkedIn is. Like genuinely, in my mind, LinkedIn is like people in HR going, look at my CV. That's all I think it is.
Yes.
I didn't know there was dancing on there at all.
Yeah. So yeah, hashtag Dancing Diana, you'll see the whole history of my dancing. Well, it started when I flooded my mum's house with pink laundry water, and I decided to film it and start dancing in it.
Sure.
And then I uploaded it onto Instagram, and no one gave a shit about it. And then I put it onto LinkedIn, and it went viral.
Oh, mate. Sure.
Yeah. Great. Anywhere it goes viral. Well, that's the thing, is that because LinkedIn has that professional space.
Yeah.
You
wouldn't like to cut sick. Yeah, right. We've all seen professional space at Friday drinks at 7 p.m.
That's it. So when we come on as comedians, we're cutting the boring.
Of course. Although you just called your whole audience boring, and that was a mistake. I'm not. I mean, LinkedIn. Come with me. I'm going to start my new LinkedIn Dancing Celia.
They know. But yeah, you had no idea that you could win or get that far to win it, because that reaction video of you winning it, hearing your name come out, you were just so shocked.
Yeah, it's all nothing with me is fake, because I can't. Like I genuinely, I wish I could hide more of my feelings in my real life, but no, it's all real. It wasn't a scam. It wasn't this is the thing. Half the people every year, but this year as well, are fucking professional dancers. Well, not professional, but fit and, had training and skill. I didn't. That's not fun. You want to be the worst. Like, I'm as so shocked as anyone. And also, I think that's why I did well, because that's a story. You want to see the one who's shit, who's unco, doesn't know what they're doing, do well. That's exciting. You don't want to see some beautiful person dance as well. Sensation. I mean, that is boring. So I was very, very surprised. But I'm also proud of what I did. That's not playing it down either. Like, I did a flip. I did a goddamn flip. No audience. Thanks, Rona. Can you imagine doing a flip to no applause? That's the true travesty of 2020. I went upside down. And I'm 37. So no, I was very, very surprised. Yeah, but can recommend. It was way harder than I thought it was going to be, and parts of it were really sucked. But overall, I miss it so much. I miss that my days were like I was dancing for 6 to 8 hours a day, every day. It was my life, it was my whole life. You get up, you dance, you come home, you drink half a bottle of wine because you dance for 8 hours, and then you go to bed, and then you get up and you get a spray tan, and then you do more dancing. Like I loved, as a comic, your life's so a lot of sort of one-offs. It's never a long-term thing. This was every day, just blanket no to anything else.
Yeah.
Which is also why my last stand-up gig was 6 months ago. My last stand-up gig, I talked about doing Dancing with the Stars at a fundraiser for the bushfires.
Oh, God.
That's been out. Yeah.
What a year. What a year.
Yeah. But the trophy's downstairs. But I did win it. But it's downstairs.
So amazing. It's a beautiful trophy. It's massive.
And I'll just tell you, lovely LinkedIn followers, I was also very excited to win because it meant I won $50,000 for my charity of choice, which is Safe Steps, who are a Victorian charity who work with women and children experiencing domestic and family violence. They're the front line of defense. They're the ones who will help you get out. And 1-800-RESPECT, which is the national hotline. But also, even during this time of lockdown, you can call them and they're still working and can help getting people out. Sorry, that is not comedy related, but it is excellent.
No, that's beautiful. Because, actually, my TED Talk, I talked about domestic violence in my family home.
Really?
So there you go.
Did you really? Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness. It
We
is.
stayed-
So that's, yeah.
Yeah, we stayed in a nunnery and to get away. Yeah, it was a pretty epic a childhood. But that's why the TED Talk goes through. There's hope, though.
Uh-huh.
There's joy. You can find joy. Also, when we were staying in this nunnery, there was a ballet school right next door. So my mum put me to that ballet school so that I would feel happy and joy. So if that domestic violence hadn't happened, you can't take back stuff. If that hadn't happened, I might have not gone to the arts as hardcore as I would have, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, isn't it? Like, yeah, I remember part of also being bored as a kid, but also other stuff going on and being like, this makes me, I'm going to using it, which doesn't mean that if you don't have negative stuff in your past that you can't be, that whole thing of you've got to be sad to be artistic is not a thing, but you can still find a way to find some kind of positive from that kind of stuff. But I'm sorry to hear that, man. It is so common. It's mind-blowing. And what is huge to me that a lot of people don't know is that it doesn't have to be physical to be abuse. Like I feel like there's a lot of women who be like, well, if I'm not being actually physically harmed, it's not, it's not a bad thing, but it very much is. Financial, emotional, all of that kind of stuff. Oh my God, I'm so excited to watch your TED Talk. When did you do it? Like recently?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. Just type in "Joy's My Caffeine." It's easy to find. But yeah, I have to say, it's like we've got some people. Just Amanda saying it's so important to get the truth behind this problem with DV. So yeah, so thank you, Amanda, for being part of the conversation. Because we think about DV as domestic violence as a physical thing, but when it becomes the mind games and you start questioning yourself, that's not okay, and that's part of domestic violence. Really, we think violence is action, but it is it's emotional and mental abuse, really, for me when I think about it, domestic violence. We're going to ask the audience ask a question before I'm going to ask Celia one more question before we go to the Q&A. If you have a question, ask her. For our LinkedIn people who are on the show tonight, what would be your number one tip for someone who wants to share comedy in their story?
Oh, in their Instagram story or in their life story? It depends. Someone who wants to share comedy. I mean, you can share comedy just any way in your life, just by talking to your in whatever form it comes out for you that feels the most comfortable, whether that's short stories or if it's one-liners. There's things like Twitter that you can use to put that out. YouTube, if you want to make sketches. I guess I just say don't wait. Just start making stuff, start writing stuff. If you don't use it, it's never, ever a waste. Even if something doesn't feel finished or right, maybe 5 years from now, you'll remember it and it'll fit in later. No one has to read it. No one has to look at it. There's no harm in just doing it on your own and then putting it out there when you're ready. But also just whatever feels right for you. Like with my first gig, no one I knew was there. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to do it in secret for me. But for you, it might be you need the support of everyone. You need to tell everyone you're going to do it so that you'll commit to it. And that's fine too. But there's just try it and then you'll know. You know? Yeah. And it's not, if you're trying to do it for fame, then you're in the wrong career. I am arguably quite successful and I am not doing well. So don't get into it for that. That's but if it's something that you can also fit in with other things. If it's not your full career, but something you just want to do on the side for fun, sure. Make funny. I'm doing a funny cross stitch. Like make funny pins. It can be in any way. This wonderful top that I'm wearing was one of the businesses from a woman whose handle is Cans Before Mans. So it's a very feminist.
I love it.
Yes, drinking beer, and I'm like, yes. So I would suggest just do it and find other people who have the same interests. Like if stand up in particular is something you like, go to gigs. Just start going to open mics when they're back. But right. That was my thing. But yeah.
Love it. And there's a funny thing about cans. My housemate, she shared a story today how she came up to you drunk at a beer cellar.
Me? I wouldn't remember. Yep.
No, you wouldn't remember. But she knew your face. She was in awe of you, but she just forgot your name. So she was just drunk, just going, I really love your work, but I don't know your name right now because I'm drunk too.
Oh, that's the best. That's so nice. It's so weird when people come up to you and this, it doesn't happen all the time or for ages because I haven't been out of the house and go, oh my God, I'm so sorry, but I just think you're really great. Like I'm going to go, you fucking piece of shit. Like they just say this beautiful thing and then go, oh my God, I'm so sorry, but yeah, this is like really great. I'm like, how dare you? So it's lovely. All I'll say is anyone can come up to me ever, but just I'm not good with ending interaction. As long as it's quite brief, it's fine, just because the weird thing is if someone you don't know gives you a compliment, your instinct is to give them a compliment, but you don't know them. So they go, I think you're really funny. And I go, do you want my phone number? Like I can't match it. So definitely come and say hello. But that's why I ended a show once that was about getting a high five from a guy from Craig Charles from Red Dwarf. That's a very weird reference, but so the end of the show was, if you see me in the world, just give me a high five. I'll never leave you hanging. If you see me and give you a high five, ever. But as soon as you do it, just don't talk to me, just walk away because it'll make us look heaps cooler. Because I built that in because I don't want to have a chat. And it was perfect. That whole festival, just people just on the street would and then just keep walking. And we just both felt super cool. I knew what was going on. They knew what was going on. And you didn't have to have a chat. So I'll bring that back as well. If you see me and you give me a high five. Oh, no, actually, we can't touch. No. I'm going to give a new one. God damn it, yeah. Air five.
I love it. No, thank you. And let's go to the Q&A. You've been so generous with your time. So we've got Amanda. She said, you are both amazing, inspiring. You've made my night tonight. Thank you, Amanda. You've been so wonderful. Joseph said, if something is undeniably good, the right people will resonate with it. Would love to see that play.
Oh, no, it was so bad. So it was about a guy who was trying to build himself into the perfect person. It was like if you could study someone and find out who their perfect match was. But no, that's what it was. The mask we wear was like, you know how you're a different person when you're on a job interview than when you're with your mum, than when you're with your blah, blah, blah. But what if when there's no one around,
Ooh.
It was terrible. I was
Yeah.
19. Let's just say that. I was 19. It was one of them.
We had Ashley Brown saying, amazing that you've talked a lot about Mayo. Is that how you say his name?
Rick
Without-
Mail, yeah, the young ones, yes. So the young ones it's probably the thing he's the most famous for. And then after the young ones, Bottom, the live version was probably my famous. Also, Filthy Rich and Cat Flap was another one. Diane, don't worry, this won't mean anything to you, but anyone who knows Rick Mail will go, yes. But yes, the young one's amazing. But it started with Grim Tales for me.
Great. And Manda's asked, what are you doing next with your comedy?
You
Next.
as I say, we're writing Row 7 season 5. Whether that will happen again, I don't know. I think I've got a few more Have You Been Paying Attentions coming up. But otherwise, I miss stand-up. I miss it. I'm not actively writing stand-up, but when it comes back, I am very excited because right now it's just talking about this time and I'm excited too. So yeah, stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Amanda's also asked, thanks for joining, Amanda. She's been really active tonight. She's asked, are you joining LinkedIn?
Just us and Amanda. So what's happening tonight? Thanks, Amanda. I appreciate it. I know I'm not LinkedIn. Am I joining LinkedIn? What for? Like I don't dance. I've done it for dancing. Like the problem is I've got so many tabs open all the time anyway. I don't know if I can have another thing.
No,
What's
don't
it
need
the best for? What's LinkedIn the best for?
I just use it for everything.
Right. But
Yeah.
so it's not just working. So boys, can people slide into your LinkedIn DMs?
Yeah, I've had marriage proposals. I've had men. It's it's part of my stand-up. I do make a joke about LinkedIn being the best dating app because they've got a job.
Well, yeah. That's true. All right. Maybe I'll have a look, Amanda. Maybe I'll look into it.
Have a look.
I've got time. That's the thing. I got time.
There you go, everyone. Watch out. Celia's coming onto LinkedIn. Amanda's also said, are you both going to join together for a comedy routine? That's the blackmail there of comments.
Well, I don't know. When can people join together and we both do stand up? But I'll be in sketch. What do you want to do?
We could be sisters. Look,
Sure.
do it. Italian, Vietnamese.
Okay. Yeah, I'm up for it. I'm available. I am absolutely. We could do a bit of Golden Girls. We just need a couple more.
That's it. A couple other women in comedy. We need more women in comedy, and on screen as well. Given said, you guys will have a buttload of material when this all breaks, and you'll be ready to tear it up.
Yeah.
And another question we've got is, what do you think will be post-COVID era of comedy?
What do you think, Celia, will be a post-COVID era? What do I think I will be a post-COVID era? So I already know. Yeah.
The question is, what do you think comedy will be post-era of COVID?
Well, who I am, because my regrowth, on my roots has been so bad. I've had to flip my part for the first time in my whole life. So you're currently speaking to Celia from a mirror universe. So Diane, my whole life, my part's been on this side. So I'm going to emerge from COVID as the mirror universe Celia. So I'm obviously evil. Comedy, what will it be? I think it will be a very slow progression back to what we had. It's not going to be what we had, but the love and the want for it is still there, and that hasn't changed, and that's important. But we just can't go back to the size audiences we had straight away. So it's going to be slower, but I feel like people will be so into it, the performers and the audience, that I feel like the shows will be amazing, but they're just going to be smaller for a while. And I think there will be more online stuff for a while. And that's still good too. Like, this is great. This is a thing that you probably wouldn't have done if this hadn't happened. So I think people will get more inventive with how they make comedy, but I don't think live comedy is over.
Yeah. Well, I host a live show. I host a live lineup. So
I saw that. Was that at the start? Is that in Melbourne? Where is your room?
Storyville, in the city. Yeah, so I did it because I was like, oh, I'm doing the comedy festival, but no one's putting me on their lineup. So what do? I host one.
Right, mate. See, that is so my thinking. Yeah, I get that. Do myself. Whatever. I don't need you.
No,
I'll show
you
you.
do.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I saw that. I
I'll
very much
give you
want
a
to
buzz.
find
I'll
out
give you
who
a buzz.
business tits are. Who's business tits? I saw that. I was like, I want to watch business tits. Business tits sounds very LinkedIn. You should get them on LinkedIn.
Yeah, they should be. And Amanda's just wrote, I just bought a hair dye to cover the grey. So yes.
Oh, Amanda, I swear this is just like a party for the three of us. I mean, Amanda, she can come on. She's putting in more than I am. You really are, Amanda. Thank you.
And we'll leave it with that, with the greys, I think.
Hey, it's natural. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah,
I can't help it till I get rid of them.
Thank you so much for spending the evening with us. It's been beautiful.
Not at all. Is this how it's supposed to be? You know, this is the other thing with Zooms. It's weird because then you get off and then you spend the next 2 hours being like, oh, what did I say? But
You can rewatch it.
oh, God, good. Oh, God. No, Celia. Fuck. Why do you swear so much? No, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me. I hope that it has been useful and enjoyable, and I'm excited to meet you in person. How exciting that I've not been in contact with you before, and I'm looking forward to watching your TED Talk.
Oh, thanks. Just give me a feedback. Just give me a feedback form after you.
Yeah, if you don't hear from me, I think it was terrible. No, I'm going. No, you will. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be really good.
Thank you again. If you're joining the show next week, we've got Luke McGregor, who is pals with Celia, but she's the better half. And we'll see you all next week. And before we do that, I'm just going to play the video gracefully. Bye.
Yeah, baby.